if we look at BRI purely, or rather OBOR, purely in economic terms, it is an attempt by China to create a China-centric trading network with China at the center of global supply chains, Chinese standards and technology being exported to the rest of the world by companies such as Huawei. And also, it is finally an attempt by China to prevent a domestic slowdown. China has managed to complete its infrastructure build out, and now it can either shutter these factories or it can try and export these capacities to countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh, through its financing tools, and continue them running for a little while longer. The problem is that these projects that China has created under BRI have not been done keeping in mind the local economies, but rather requirements of China. And as a result, this kind of infrastructure build out has not been beneficial for host countries, as we have seen in Sri Lanka, in Pakistan, and also in Maldives. The longer term game that we perceive is that China wants to replace the US dollar as the international medium of exchange. And to that end, China has tried to create a space for the yuan in the global financial architecture as well.
True, and if you look at the BRI playbook in this region itself, $150 billion have been invested around 7 neighbors: Bangladesh, Maldives, Myanmar, Pakistan, Nepal, Sri Lanka. And it's the largest overseas investor in 4 countries: Maldives, Myanmar, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. And highest penetration in 2 countries, Pakistan and Myanmar. Maldives, they were not able to, or Maldives escaped the debt trap, but Pakistan has fallen into it. Sri Lanka, somewhere we may look that it is neutralized. Just if I can just call out the playbook here, and we'll just put out the numbers. And Amit, please tell us your thoughts. Share with us your thoughts. Can this also be the PLA's bane? Let's look at the BRI playbook. $150 billion invested all around India in these countries. And if these countries become vassal states, perhaps that's also a larger design. They want to control these nations. Amit?
Yeah, that is quite correct. So if I look at BRI, by and large, we think of infrastructure as something good and positive. The problem with OBOR is really threefold.
Yeah.
The first issue is that it has been designed keeping in mind China's requirements of keeping its factories and capacities running, not the needs of the host countries. So as a result, we have a port in Sri Lanka built at a cost of $1 billion, which gets a traffic of, I think, 1 ship every week or thereabouts. Similarly, we have now power plants in Pakistan, which it won't be able to use for many more years to come. The second problem is that many of the countries which China has targeted are countries with weak governance, corruption issues. And as a result, the cost of these projects is much higher than what it would be if a multilateral agency or a private funder had financed these projects. And the third issue is with interest rates. So when World Bank lends to a government for infrastructure, the rate is, let's say, X. When China lends to a government for the same infrastructure, say to a Sri Lanka or a Pakistan, the rate becomes X plus 3% or X plus 4%. So when I combine these 3 things, overcapacity, padded costs, and a high interest rate, the host economy will fall into a debt trap eventually. Now, if I'm a private corporation or a bank which has made these bad loans, I will take this financial hit and I will move on.
Correct.
But if I'm the Chinese regime, if I'm the CCP with my entire fleet of PLA, my state-owned enterprises, I convert this debt into equity. So the loan to Hambantota becomes a 99-year lease to Hambantota. Eventually, this is something that is likely to happen to Gwadar as well. And sometimes, if I'm not taking over the asset, I may get some other concession in return. Maybe adoption of Huawei for 5G, or adoption of Chinese standards for some other technology, and so on. So it is really a model of state-backed capitalism, which is being used to take advantage of vulnerabilities of weak economies, relatively weak economies like Sri Lanka and Pakistan.